So we're going to go over the landlord side.
Oh, Ramesh is going to be here.
Seller side. So we're going to go over the landlord side today because we always do on the seller side. And doing a combination, same paperwork pretty much. Just the two different things when it comes to the property description when you're doing a rental for the landlord versus a sale for an owner. So let's go share my screen. Hey, Ramesh. And Ramesh,
Good morning, good afternoon. Sorry, I couldn't find the link.
That's all right. You have some experience with this because you've done your first one.
Almost.
So we always start with create a contact, and both of you already know how to create a contact because you both got things on the table already. Then you start with your opportunity. When you're checking off your opportunity and you start an opportunity, remember, you have to make sure that you select which one you want to do. If we're working with the sale, it's going to be a listing. If we're working with the rental landlord, it's going to be the landlord if we're listing it for rent. So if you don't switch it to landlord and you start, you just messed up. You're going to have to redo it all over. So make sure you click landlord when you're doing that part. Once the opportunity is created, I'm just going to go to one that I already started. And you might get a little confused because if you're looking at the screen from this form, when you go to your leases, you have to also remember up top, you got tenant, you have to switch over to landlord. It's going to automatically populate to tenant. To find your landlord opportunities, you got to switch the type that you want. If you're looking at it from a different view, let's go back. If you're looking at all your opportunities, then everything will come up. But I generally like looking at it from this angle so I can see what's listed, what's buyers, and then drop down to my leases, see what my activity is. To me, I can see much better what everything is. So we go back, switch back to landlord. And we're going to look for my active landlords. So I have cultivated, ones that have appointments, ones that are active. So in this case, is an active landlord, unit number 3. And remember, if there's different units in the building, make sure you put your unit number. Otherwise, we can't associate it. So this is opportunity name becomes the property name that you're working on. If you need to edit it, the little pencil is up there to your right to make any editing changes. And the same with the property description, the little pencils over here. You want to make sure that you have the separate unit. I had unit 1, 2, and 3. If I don't have the separate units, paperwork can get very confusing. So everything I save, I make sure I put the unit numbers. When you go to your documents and you either, once you start the transaction, you're going to go to your transaction next. Because I've already started this transaction, every time I go into the file, it's going to be go to the transaction. When I go to the transaction, I'm able to look into my room and see all the documents. Yesterday, one of the things we talked about is putting everything in the room so that everything is your folder. This is your folder. Doesn't mean that it has to go into command as far as what's required or conditional, but it's a storage place. The market center have to keep these files for 7 years. So if it's not stored in here, you leave the company and we need to get a document, whether it be for court or for something else, I can't find it because you never put it in the room. So make sure you put everything in the room as your storage container. If you need to add to this document, you can add by pulling things in from the computer that you downloaded, or you can add your Docusign Forms. When you go to add your Docusign Forms, you want to look for your transaction packet that is Hudson County rental listing packet. So you see up top, if you're working with the buyer, you have the different MLSs that we can belong to, but you just have Hudson County listing packet. When it's the rental part, you put the rental listing packet, and all your documents will come up that you would need for your rental. Now, as you can see, most of my documents are in use because I'm already using it. One of the main ones that you want to make sure that you get with the rental listing is the property description form, which is going to be residential rental. If you was doing it for a sale, of course, you're going to use the 1 family or the condo, the 2 to 4 family, or if it's commercial, the commercial paperwork. When we're doing a rental, you want to make sure you put in a property description form, rental, residential rental form. Now, we're going to go over the documents that are required. And then if you have any questions, we can answer any questions. I always start off with the tax record because I want to see what's on the taxes. Important things that you're going to need is the block and the lot. You're going to need the land description sometimes. You need the building description sometimes. The taxes, if it's a sale, you would definitely need the taxes. On rentals, you don't necessarily need the taxes. Sometimes it will have the square footage, sometimes it don't. Our internal system asks for the year built. Sometimes a buyer may want to know when it's built. It's a pretty old building, 1898. It's going to also have the property owner's address and information, and it'll have the property class. This is for a commercial. So it's a commercial building with residential rentals. That's all pretty much you need from the tax record itself. If there's any questions, just, don't hesitate to ask me. A change of status form will only be needed.
I have one, Karen. I have one. Can I ask a question? I never have yet put any conditional required documents into command and submit to compliance. Will that stop me from getting my transaction approved and paid?
Absolutely. So once you have your signed documents, Ramesh, you can go to your transaction and you can list all your stuff without having it being rented yet, because you already completed and got approval for the landlord documents. So you put your listing agreement and you put your property description, all your documents already in. You don't have to wait to do that part. You can create your commission as well. The commission you create when you get a tenant. When you come out of attorney review on your listing, then you create the commission for the sale. But on a rental, you can do that once you get a tenant. But as far as your paperwork, absolutely, you want to make sure you put it all in there so that you're not trying to go back and get signatures that you may have forgotten. Now that is all rented, and now you're trying to get paid and trying to catch the landlord to get a signature for a document that you should have got, and you wouldn't know if you missed something because you wouldn't have this big approval up there.
So that's what I've been doing. I've been submitting it early, but if a form says conditional and I don't upload it, it's not like I'm not going to get paid, right? I mean,
no, it says conditional, no, only required.
Okay. Thank you. That was my question. Thank you.
What I was speaking on next was the change of status form. And I'm not going in any particular order. I'm just going to go down the line. Change of status form, when you have to make any changes, if you need to extend the expiration date, if you need to change the price, if the commission for some reason changed. So you're doing half 0.5, which is on a rental, minus 100. And you decide, okay, I'm gonna do 0.5 minus 25 to give the tenant agent a little more incentive to bring somebody quicker. Then you can do that. All changes have to be approved by the owner first, you as the realtor second, the authorized signature is myself. When you put it in the system, put the owner, you, and then me. Don't send me the change of status without those signatures. Because if I sign it and you go make a change and I didn't see it, now I'm liable for it. So I'm always the last to sign. Let's go to the exclusive right to sell. This is giving you permission, giving Caleb Williams permission to take the listing. This one is the exclusive right to rent or lease agreement. On here, most important, remember we said the block and lot, but nothing is a contract unless it's have a listing date and expiration date. So always make sure to put the listing date, when it's going to expire, The broker is always Keller Williams. The listing belongs to Keller Williams. The commission, the rental amount is the $1,400. When they can take possession, who's paying a broker fee. Also on here, this little box, landlord agent and disclosed dual agent if the opportunity arises. We don't know if we're going to be a disclosed dual agent, so we always take the opportunity to do it up front. Again, the seller is going to sign this document, and you, the agent, is going to sign as a broker representative. Out of that total commission, we're offering a split. In this case, generally rentals are always half minus a 100 MLS fee. If you're doing a sale and we take a 6% listing, I only give out 2.5% minus 275 or 300 MLS fee. If it's a 5%, then I'm giving out 2.5 minus 2.5, 2.5 minus 275 or 300 MLS fee. If you're taking anything less than 4.5, remember that has to be ran through me as your broker. And if that's the case, we ask that you give out 2.5 according to our policy and procedure, or at least half, which would be 2.25 if you're taking a 4.25. We're not taking less than 4% if we put it on the MLS, or we're trying not to take anything less than that, unless it's like $1 million or over or something, some crazy number, and we're getting less than that. Or if you're working with something that's not on the MLS and you're just representing one side, then perhaps we'll go ahead and do something lower than a 4.5%. Anything under that, ask me. Anything over that, feel free to go ahead and get your listing. Then we have our property description.
Karen, the expiration date, usually it's 6 months.
With rentals, I only do like 3 months, sometimes 6 months if I know it's a hard sale, or if I know that a tenant is in there and I can't have it until after that tenant is out, and that's going to cause a delay in time. Like I have one I'm working on now. It's tenant won't be out to December 31st. He doesn't want to lose time. We want to try to get a January tenant, but then he don't want to piss the tenant off. So I was like, okay, we can start the end of November. I know that it's a tenant in there. I still know it's a moratorium going on. He might have a hard time getting that tenant out. So definitely I'm gonna do a 6 months.
6 months.
If it's one that I think is gonna go real quick, 3 months. After 3 months, I might not want to be bothered with them, and they might not want to be bothered with me.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You can always extend it with exchange of status form as well. And sometimes it's even better to refresh it as a whole new listing, because once it sits on the market for so long, then it comes down to what's wrong with it? Why still sitting? Must be something wrong. Now they're starting to create doubt into the tenant or the buyer's mind as to why is that listing sitting so long. Something has to be wrong in this market. So you might just want to do a whole new listing and start off a fresh date, give it a few days to relax, and then bring it back on. All right, so on this one is exclusive right description form. Again, when you put in all your details, most of the stuff is going to come over, like the address. Between, you have to know what the between streets are. Our office number will always be 1653. Your individual salesperson number always changes. Mine is wrong there. I don't know why I put that. That's a wrong number for me. Mine's is 701170. Publish owner's phone number? No, because I don't want to publish my phone number. If this expired, that's just giving another agent the opportunity to contact my seller directly. So never ever publish your owner's name, number, or their address. Lead base point, anything built before 1978 definitely has lead. Remember, next year we're going to be having some new lead laws, so definitely anything I send out, please pay attention, because it's going to affect the landlords, not when we go to sell the properties, but when our landlords go to rent them, it's going to affect them eventually after July 22nd, 2022. So be on the lookout for that. Pets allowed, generally People don't like pets, especially in commercial properties. However, you need to read the truth in renting because people have service dogs versus guide dogs and know the difference. With the service dog, you cannot, with a guide dog, you cannot discriminate if they're blind, handicapped, or deaf. A service dog is a little bit different because most people that have a service dog is not blind, deaf, or handicapped. So if you read the Truth in Renting book, that's going to give you, I think it's page 12, it's going to give you more details when it comes to your landlords and pets. Credit check, yes, absolutely, we want a credit check. That's done by NTN services. I'm hoping to have Elizabeth on next week or next month. Well, next week is just about next month. I'm waiting for her to confirm, but there's some new updates with NTN that we need to be aware of. So I need to have her on. Some condo buildings do not allow a sign. So know your buildings, ask your owner. If they in doubt, they don't know, you don't see any around, call the association. Because more than likely, if it's a condo building, they don't want a sign on their property. Leases, of course, we want a lease. Compensation. Remember, a lot of people are getting fines for the compensation. Ramesh, you had a question before I move on?
Just one thing to add that I learned from you, which is very important, that when you send a link to, say, 2 roommates for the NTN, only send it to one person. When that one person fills it out, there's a space for them to add their co-applicant. If you send the link to both people and they both fill it out, what's going to happen is that it's going to take them an NTM as 2 separate applications and not combine their income for the apartment. I learned that the hard way, and I had to call NTN and combine 2 separate applications into one. So only send the NTN link to one person. That person will fill out the co-applicant's information and they'll get an email to do their NTN. Because if they do the link separately and the rent is, say, $2,000 a month and they make, $4,000 a month, it's not gonna add it up right. It's not gonna give you the 40 times.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ramesh. Compensation. SA is a sub-agent. That's not you. So always put 0. We don't work as sub-agents. BA is by agent, TB transaction broker. That's always going to be half minus the MLS fee. If you know the square footage, you can put the square footage. If you don't worry about it. Put the floor, if it's a complex name, and apartment number. Now he's adding a second floor with units. So he's going to be changing that apartment from just 3 to 303, 301 and 302. So when I do the lease, now I have to make sure that I rename the unit numbers on the lease so that he can match up the second floor with unit 201, 202. Then you want to do what floor it is, how many kitchens, bathrooms, bedrooms, whatever that you may have. That's the description, and bring the totals down. Paid by the landlord. This is very rare because this unit, the landlord is paying the electric, the taxes, the air conditioning, the gas. There's no parking and the hot water. Mostly a landlord is just paying taxes and that's it. But in this case, the landlord is all inclusive. So just speak with your landlord to see what they are paying and what the tenant is responsible for. Items excluded, garbage disposal. Items included, he's providing actually the stove, the refrigerator, microwave. That was my fault. I didn't put that there, but I did put it on the description when I clicked on the boxes. So you can write it out and you can collect the boxes. Remarks to cooperating broker. You can put anything in the broker remarks, including personal information. They showing instructions, what you required of them from their tenants, what's included, who to call, where to email. In your advertising remarks, you cannot put anything in reference to prices, amounts, your personal information, who can go into the rental. No, it's a 1-bedroom, so you can't say great for a single guy, single girl. Now you're saying who can go in the property, and that's discrimination. In your advertising remarks, you can put, it's in Journal Square, You can't put short walk to Journal Square, because if I'm in a wheelchair, now you just discriminate against me because I can't walk. So make sure in your advertising remarks that you don't put anything that's against advertising regulations.
Karen, can I ask a
Yes,
question on
Ramesh?
that? For the advertising remarks, since that feeds Zillow, I initially had put no broker fee, and then I emailed you, you said take it off. So how do I put a rental listing on the MLS that feeds the Zillow that lets people know that there's no broker fee if the landlord's paying it, without, you know, how do I do it? Because I would normally have to put in the advertising remarks.
It go in a feed. All this stuff when you do it, let's go to the listing here. Maintain the listing. Go to my listing. When you make that change, it syndicate. It might not syndicate right away, but when you make that change in the MLS, and you put who's let's see, for rent, credit check. Who's paying the broker fee? Where is that at?
I know what you're looking for. There is a field that tells you who's going to pay it. So basically,
Yeah,
that's what feeds. That's
Still
what feeds.
there.
Yeah, it's
Can't see
somewhere.
it. Paid by landlord.
There it is. 78.
When you change that feed will go, it will syndicate to the sites that they're on and update on the sites. So,
So no
don't
matter
have to worry
if it's
about
on the MLS or any other site, apartments.com, Realtor, Zillow, in their advertising remarks, you cannot put no broker fee either, right? Because it feeds from our MLS.
it. Everything feeds from the MLS.
Got it. Thank you.
So whatever changes you make here, it syndicates to those other sites automatically. Then you want to check off anything that may apply on these as far as the property. Again, if you don't know what type of heating system it is, ask the landlord. If you don't know what appliances included, ask the landlord. Anything you don't know, guess who knows? The landlord. And again, they're going to sign, I'm going to sign, but I'm as the broker representative of this transaction. If you're doing the paperwork, you're going to sign as the broker representative. And then your advertising remarks. Any questions on this document? Okay, so those are the two forms that you need for the MLS. Now let's talk about the forms that we need for general, for KW documents. The Attorney General Memorandum. First line, second paragraph of 1, 2, third, first line, second paragraph. Did I say that right? First paragraph, third sentence. Both you and your licensed broker or salesperson should sign the last page of this notice to acknowledge compliance with REC's regulations, and each of you should retain a copy of this signed notice for your records. So this is fair housing. We just need to make sure they sign it, and we have to add the lines for them to sign, because this is not going to come up where they're automatically going to be able to sign. We don't care about who is filling out the application. We care if they can qualify based on their credit and income. That's it.
Karen, just a question regarding Attorney General. It's just the landlord and yourself, right? Or the tenant isn't gonna
No,
be.
landlord and yourself for the listing. Everybody know the consumer information statement. Before you open your mouth about speaking about real estate, you should let them know how you can work as an agent for them. In this case, I'm going to automatically be a seller's agent and exposed to an agent if the opportunity arises. Seller equals landlord. Buyer equals tenant. So even though it's saying seller, we're not selling a house, we're listing it, but it's the same difference for this form. Seller is the landlord and landlord is the seller. Same document, same signature, whether they're the seller or the landlord. This little line right here where it says relationship, make sure your name is there. Do you know I'm still getting the kickbacks from compliance because I don't put that there? It's a small line and you can forget to put your name there. So remember he was saying some documents you can automatically populate so that it's there all the time. This should be one I should learn how to automatically populate so that Karen and Sims always come up. Otherwise, compliance will kick this document out if you don't put that there and if you don't check one of the boxes. So please make sure, learn from my mistakes. You don't like our money being held up, right, guys?
No, I'm making a template for that form too, for that specific reason.
Home warranty, whether they want it or whether they don't want, most landlords are going to waive a home warranty on a rental. They're just not going to put a home warranty. The landlord is trying to look at their bottom line and their expenses and how much they're going to be able to retain monthly from each property or each unit they have. A home warranty will put another expense on them and that will eat into their profit margin. So they're not going to do a home warranty. 20 years of service and I have not had a landlord put a home warranty on a rental. But it's there, we can offer it to them. That's up to them. We have the documents there. We have two companies, American Preferred Home Warranty, and they do cover landlords. And we have the American Home Shield Home Warranty. So you can offer it to them, you can show it to them. Chances are they're gonna waive it, but we do our job in offering it. Again, this is the affiliated service agreement for sale or leases. So yes, both have to be signed. This is just letting our clients know what services we offer, that we have affiliations with, that we might get paid off for. Doesn't mean they're accepting it. They're acknowledging that we told them about it. They're not agreeing to any of the services. Then we have another one, same difference. Very rarely do we do a two-step listing, but the first one, which would be this one, would be for them to, so that we telling them about the services. The second one would be where they acknowledge and actually take it. It's the same disclosures pretty much. It's for buyers, sellers, landlords, and tenants. But if we're doing a consultation ahead of time, this would be one of the documents you would need and get signed ahead of time. Then when you take your listing, you already told them about the services. So when they go to do it the second time, and this is not the one where they acknowledge and accepted. The 3-page one I'm looking for. One, two. Okay, this is the 3rd pages. So when they go to do the actual listing presentation, and you go to take it, you already explained to them about some of the services you had. They already acknowledge it. Now they can agree to accept or reject any of the things that we may have as far as title insurance, mortgage, any legal services, insurance, and or home warranties. So if you're doing a 2-step process, which most of us don't, one is to inform them. The second one that has the 3 pages is to acknowledge if they want any of them. Everybody understand that? Independent notice for consumer requiring wire fraud. So there's 2 forms of wire that we have, 2 forms. This one gives a little more information. And again, make sure they initial here because I just got return on paper from compliance because of initials. So make sure they initial. But this is going to give them a lot more places they can go if they're a victim of fraud, wire fraud. They can go through these 4 documents. Only the client that you're working with, whether they're the seller, landlord, the tenant, or the buyer, signs, and you as the agent. The other wire form is from the state of New Jersey. Now, let me see if I pulled that one in. The one from the state of New Jersey has where all parties sign, the seller and the buyer, or the landlord and the tenant. The one from New Jersey only has one source if they should become a victim of fraud. You can file a complaint at the Internal Crime Center at this address here. Whereas you see the other one gave more resources, because if you lose money in the wire, you definitely want to try to see all the resources that you can do quickly, because it's only a matter of minutes or hours to try to recap that money. So I'd rather have 4 sources than just 1 sources, and that's why we have both of them signed. One is required from the state of New Jersey, and one is required by our company, KPG, because it gives more protection to our clients. All right, where were we? Let's go
Karen,
back up.
just a question. The first one, consumer wire fraud advisory, does it need to be signed by the tenant as well? I missed
Yes.
that part.
Mhm.
Okay, so both?
Yep,
Oh.
whoever the consumer you're working with at that time. So if it's a buyer, if it's a renter, if it's a landlord, if it's a seller, a seller.
Okay.
See, sellers, buyers, same difference. Seller's a buyer, tenant is a buyer, and a seller's a landlord. As we get more and more into digital, wires will become probably more accessible. And even if we are doing wires, we still have to be careful. Protect your family from lead. You don't care if they read it. All you care about is that you sent it, they sign it, and you got it back in your folder. So you see the green means they got it. The blue means I sent, that was just part of my files. But when it come back green, everything green, they received it. Whether they read it or not my business. I don't use a rental registration. It's ban KW. If you want to do a rental registration, say you're at an open house, and this is probably the only time I would do a rental registration form, and you're doing a rental for an open house, and that renter that come in may not particularly like that property that you are doing. Well, if you have more information as to what they're looking for, you'll be able to help them in other things. Or if you get a lot of leads, rental leads, and you want to help those rental leads, then send them the registration form. I'll have them complete it, send it back to you. And now you have more of their information and know that they're more serious. And therefore, okay, if you're serious that you filled out this information for me, I'm going to take my time to look for you the right property. Lead-based paint. Again, do not have your tenant sign a blank lead-based paint. This document will more than likely be changed with the new regulations that are coming out. But we want to make sure that the seller has no knowledge of lead and that there are no reports of lead. And if he make any changes, or she, that they will inform the tenant or the leasee of those changes if they do any changes that results in lead. Coming out next year, landlords are going to get hit tough, because if they have lead, it has to be remediated. There's already $3.9 million fund in place to start building and help some of these landlords out. But the state of New Jersey wants the lead out of these homes, especially older homes, and it applies to those homes that are older than 1978. So you don't want them to sign a blank form. Your tenant is going to sign down here. You're going to sign as their tenant agent. They're going to sign and they're going to initial. They initial that they got copies of this information, which is in section 3 above, and they initial in that you gave them the pamphlet. So if you didn't give them the pamphlet, how can they initial it? That's why it's important to send that pamphlet along with your document. All right, next one is, we're still in a pandemic, guys. It has not gone away. So we still dealing with coronavirus. And like any other ones, whether you're a tenant or a landlord, if you've been affected by COVID, you have out. You can do a 30-day extension, a 0-day extension, a 15-day extension. And if you check the box, they can actually walk away if they, for some reason, lose their job prior to closing due to COVID. They can walk away. Landlord and the buyer should sign both of these. Now, sometimes it's the day of closing, and you're like, I'm not getting that sign, but you want to get paid, so you just put 0 because it's the day of closing. All I need is my check, or it closing on took place, so just put 0. Get them to sign it. It's easy when you get all your documents signed up front. Yes, it's a lot of documents, but when it comes down to the day after or the day of closing, and you don't have these documents because nothing is approved, see how hard it is going to be to track down the seller, especially if they piss for any kind of reason against you. You're going to have a hard time getting paid and trying to track down and get that, and then you're going to run to me, can you? So do everything up front. It may seem like a lot, but trust me, when they sign in, they're not reading, they're interested in you as their agent, they're not paying attention, and you get everything you need signed. Informed consent to do an agent as a landlord. And again, you have informed consent to do an agent as a tenant, informed consent to do an agent as a buyer, and informed consent to do an agent as a seller. People got to give us permission to work for them and to work for someone else under the same umbrella. And again, I've told the story over and over. It hasn't been until I got to KW that I got denied working as a disclosed dual agent. Generally, nobody has a problem with it, but some people chose to make sure that I only represented them. That's the case, just partner up. We have a lot of agents in the office that you can partner up with. They can give you a referral. They can represent the landlord, the buyer directly or the tenant directly, and you still represent the landlord. You're still getting a piece of something, and you helping out a fellow agent. So if that ever comes by, you just have somebody with you that can represent the buyers or the tenants. Very rarely does that happen, but we have to get permission in writing. And let's see. Hold harmless. Remember, prior to, when was this? 6/20/21, so June, this new form came out for COVID. Hold harmless, meaning they're not going to sue you, me, or Keller Williams if they, as a result, get in contact with COVID and get sick. They're not suing any of us. So before we had to have the seller and the tenant sign on the same page. Now the seller just signed, or the landlord in this case, or if you're working with the tenant and the buyer, the tenant just signed or the buyer just signed. One document, we don't have to worry about each other signing the same document. Once you sign one, it's good for the life of that relationship of that client. And those are our forms that we just went over that you need when you're dealing with the landlord. Now, again, we're going to go right back to where we were on command. You want to make sure you match everything up. All your documents that you got signed, you want to make sure you put them all in the required document. So if it says required, sorry, Edward, I'm on class. Okay. If it says required, you have to put it. If it's optional, you don't have to put it. If it says conditional, you don't have to put it. But it has to be in your room, and you should always put your lead in. You know why? Because that's a $10,000 fine, and you want to make sure you're in compliance with that for sure. Under contract, once I get this unit under contract, I have to do the same thing. I have to make sure that all the fields that's required or conditional are met. And then again, if it's closed, once I get the tenant, I have to do the same thing. I have to put the commission check, the first month rent, security, the MLS listing report, if there was a referral, if there wasn't a referral. Once I finish putting my documents in, I will hit submit to MC.
Karen, for the KWJC commission check, can we just take a photo and upload it, or does it have to be a PDF?
Oh, no, you can take a photo and upload it. I mean, you gotta change that photo to a PDF, I think, right? How
I've
do
never done it yet.
you, like, when I take a picture from my camera and then I send it to my email and download it, I think I still have to download it as a PDF.
Okay, so we can't upload JPEGs.
Correct. Oh, yeah, JPEG. JPEG you put in there too.
Oh, okay.
Whatever the computer take. I think it's more friendly to, let's see.
When we actually get our check, which is gonna happen to me today, do I just drop it off to Patricia in the office?
Absolutely. So in the office, when you come in, right on the left side in front of Patricia's door, if you're working with the buyer, there's a little form that you fill out. If you're working with the tenant, you don't have to fill it out. You could just hand Patricia the check. If Patricia's door is closed, you can give it to Jack, and Jack will give it to her later on.
And if the
Yes,
broker
all
fee
the
is paid
checks
by the
will come in.
landlord, if the broker fee is paid by the landlord, is there like a Dropbox still, or do I have to hand it?
Oh, generally you collect that from the landlord. But the easy way, Ramesh, is to get your landlord to agree that the first month rent, you'll have the tenant make that payable to KW so that he don't have to get a certified check or money order and run around. Generally, they agree to that because they don't want to have to run around and get us a certified check or money order.
So I
So
get
the
the
tenant
first,
got to do a month rent any which way. We're getting paid a month rent. So they actually paying their first month rent. You put it on the MLS on the in their remarks. First month rent has been paid. Landlord has approved the first month to be deposited to KW for the broker fee. This way you're protecting the tenant that their first month has been paid and you're collecting our money. So you're not waiting on a landlord. Keys can get exchanged. You're good. They're good. Everybody's happy. You collect a check for the security and that goes to the landlord.
but then how does the landlord get the actual first month's rent if KW took it?
Well, they was going to have to pay us any which way if they paying the broker fee.
That makes sense. I got it now. I got it. And then the
It's just an even swap. It's an even swap.
yeah, even swap. And then the whole thing where you can set yourself up direct deposit to get paid faster, is that through Patricia?
John Collis or Jack can give you that form, but you can actually go on yourself, and everybody know how to go use our own forms. This is my name, right? Everybody should create a Docusign for their own self. When you go to the transactions, and you go to our Docusign forms.
Did you create an opportunity just for yourself to do that?
Absolutely, just for myself. Every form that I have to sign that I don't have a client with goes in here. Now, if you go to the groups, you'll see KW have onboarding. And in the onboarding, you will see policy, new agent, credit card authorization. Nope, not the credit card. New agent application, agent productivity, coaching commission via ACH.
Got it.
So add that to your documents, to your room, and then just go open it, fill it out, send it to John. You can send it to Patricia. And you see how it lines up, right? You see how KW lines up, all KW documents come.
And we don't have to submit that to compliance, right? The direct deposit. That's just to.
Oh no, that's just for you, and you don't have to send that to compliance.
So you created a blank opportunity for yourself for this property, wrote the opportunity in, like, say, whatever, 85 Sherman Ave, apartment 3. You listed yourself as the buyer in that opportunity just so you could create a room to add this one form, or did you add this one form to?
I have a whole lot of forms in here, as you can see.
Okay.
It's just we're gonna have to sign different things, and you don't want to just have to create a whole opportunity for one document. So anything that's miscellaneous that I have to sign, I sign through here.
Got it. So it's like a dummy opportunity just so you can sign forms via Docusign. Thank
or
you.
an agent is looking for something and I have to go find it, so I download it so that I have it for the next agent that asks the same thing.
Yeah, so that's why it doesn't matter if you chose buyer or seller for your dummy opportunity. You just chose something to create a rule.
Correct.
Thank you.
Oh, Karen, a question. Karen, this one is just for the buyer, the whole room? Or this is
Well,
for?
it's for me. It's for
Um,
me personally,
okay.
so that I can find forms for the agents, download things,
Right.
make changes without creating an opportunity each and every time an
Okay.
agent needs something.
And do you also put like listing documents here, or you can do that or no?
Yeah, you can go and put any documents you want in this room.
Oh, okay.
Yep, anything you want. Like somebody might not be able to find something, I'll go find it for them. I put it in the room and then I send it to them. I don't have any details on mine because if I put details, that means each page come out is going to have a detail on it. It's going to have my information. Most of the time, I need blank things. Now, why is that thing not showing up? I know I just put it in here.
Go to the document finder on the top left and start typing the name of it. Save yourself the hassle.
What was that?
ACH, just search for ACH. You did put it in. I saw you put it in.
I don't know what I'm doing here. But you see, oh, it's right there. Okay. So that's the ACH. So just fill this out, Ramesh. With your direct deposit, if it get approved today, we pay you today, you get it tomorrow. With the check, if it's approved today, we pay you today, you can pick it up tomorrow. But you
Got
still
it.
gotta go
The
to the
only thing I
bank.
don't know how to do is the part after documents is the commissions. I've never gone into that tab in command.
When you say commissions, let's go back to the actual document we were working on.
Yeah, the offers and commissions tab in command.
All right, documents. I don't want that. I'm gonna go back to here. I'm gonna go back to, he's an active one. He's a landlord. Unit number 3, commission. So when you're doing a commission, your lease price, if this is 1,400, and I'm gonna use my calculator, you have to do 14 times 12. And that's 1,680. So I'm gonna get credit for 16,800. The commission, if I'm splitting the commission, is 14 divided by 2, 700. But remember, I'm the listing agent, so I'm gonna get that 100 extra. I'm not gonna put it on here because I don't want KW to charge me 30% royalty on it. I'm not royalty, 30% fee. Occupancy, the lease sign date. I'm gonna put the date that the lease was signed. So the lease sign, we are in September, October, what's today's date? October 27th. And say the occupancy is for November 1st. I'm gonna hit save changes. Now that's the top part, that's the general information. Now my edit, the agent information, me, I'm Karen, it's only me, my gross commission is 700. But remember, I have that extra $100 MLS fee. I'm gonna choose bonus. I'm gonna add $100 in, because that's the difference of the bonus. And I'm gonna hit save. Now, both of these should match up. Agent payment and the journal information. This 700 needs to match that 700. One transaction, another transaction. If me and you, Ramesh, was sharing this, then I would have to add another agent. I would add you. Instead of getting one, I would only get half. Instead of getting 700, I would get 350, and the computer will automatically calculate the rest. If we were splitting the MLS fee, I would get 50, you would get 50.
Karen, why did you multiply your lease price by 12? I didn't understand that part.
So we get different credits, and we get it on the total for the year. So this is a year lease. So if it was a 2-year lease, I would do it times 2. But this is a 1-year lease. That's 12 months. That's 1,400 times 12 months. Gave me the 16,800. So in your case, I think it's 1,850.
Yep.
1,850 times 12 should give you what? I'm not good at math like that no more. I used to be good like that. The brain is kind of lazy. That'll give you 22,200. So when you get the GFI, your gross GIF, gross income factor, that's part of your whole income, the whole credit that we're giving you for the year. So it's not just 1,850. We're giving you 22,200 and the GCI credits, GCI credit.
Gross commissionable income. Is that GCI?
Correct.
Oh. Okay. Too many acronyms.
So many acronyms. Do you know that there's an acronym for Kellyerisms on our intranet? So if you don't know all the Kellyerisms, there's a sheet in the intranet that can show you all the acronyms for us.
Yeah, I started looking at that and I went to bed.
All right, at least you know it. And then you would just hit submit. Now, because this is not an, we had one, but then it fell through. So, well, I don't know if it's fell through. I don't want to hit submit yet because then I don't want to mess Patricia up. We're a month-to-month agency. So I don't want to put these in this month and it doesn't pan through. And then I have to ask her to delete it. But that's pretty much once you hit submit, Patricia is the one that looks at this side of your command. This all she care about. Don't ask her about your documents because that is not her. That is Colleen. If you have an issue, do everybody know how to go and add, let's see, go and add a comment in. Colleen, add comment. When you scroll down the bottom, you can hit at, and then you start typing in Colleen. And say, we get this a lot. The tenant refused to sign the W-9, will sign. Hold on 1 minute. Can I call you back, please? I hate those telemarketers. Refuse to sign a W-9 and will sign directly with the landlord. Now, something like that, we can't get the documents. You telling Colleen that you can't get the W-9, which is a required document. You letting her know ahead of time what they refuse to do. If she doesn't approve it, she'll say to me and send me a message back, and she'll say at Karen, which I can't put myself up, but let's say it's Patricia. She at Patricia, please review this and advise, or she'll say at Patricia and at Karen. Most of the time, Patricia can't approve it, so she would say at Karen, please advise if this is acceptable, and then I will go ahead on and approve your commission. But Colleen handles this part of your commission request of your documents. Patricia handle your commission part. So if there's any issues, make sure you add a comment, let Colleen know. If you need to tag me in that message, let me know. This way she'll see that we both have been aware of it, and we'll go ahead on and approve your commission without it being a delay. Does that help you, Ramesh? Antonio?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that helps. Sorry, I was on mute. I just had one quick question because I don't think I'm getting the 100 bonus. So basically, there's a $100 MLS fee for listing on the MLS, which has been waived the last 3 months of this year. And that's why you went under commissions. And then I think it was edit the general payment, and you gave yourself a bonus of 100 because there is no $100 MLS listing fee right now. And you don't want that commission to get taken out of that 100 by KW. Is that right? Did I sum that up?
So the MLS is not charging the office any fees this month. Normally, there's a $28 fee for every listing that you have that we pass on to you as the agent. The MLS is not going to charge the office that $28 this month, September, October, and November. So therefore, we're not charging you anything September, October, and November. Doesn't mean that you don't have to collect your 100 from the other agent, because you still do have other expenses associated with that listing that you can take care of that will help you. That $100 will help you. So even though the MLS is not charging us, doesn't mean that we're still not collecting a fee from the other agent for showing the property.
Got it.
So that $100, if you don't want it either which way, the 30% will help go towards your cap. But if you want your $100 not to be touched by 30%, which gives you what, 100 times 30, an extra $30 in your pocket versus KW pocket, then you would take your $100 out as the bonus. But if you don't mind giving it to KW so that it helps you cap quicker, then don't worry about it.
Got it. So if there is an MLS listing fee being charged in those months, either way, you should, do that $100 bonus because the other person. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So that 100 is going to help you as a listing agent, even if it's your own listing, because now you're going to get $30 more of your own listing money. But if you don't want it and you want it to help go toward your cap, then don't do it. But on the buyer side, if the other agent is still charging an MLS fee, then instead of being 700, it's going to be 600. So even though it's split in half, their half is 7 minus 600. So you're going to put in 600 as your commission, because you have to take it out front. And then as the agent part, you're going to put 600 when you're doing the tenant side or the buyer side. So the listing side, you add that fee in. The buyer side, you take it out. You take it out the gross commission.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And then everybody know when you go to the MLS, you put it in as a listing, you maintain your listing. I'm just gonna show my listings. Now, these are some of the pending listings that I started that I can go ahead on and play with. Let me see. Oh, wait a minute. Where's the 3 pending listings I had that I was going to play with? Oh. All right, maybe I don't have that, but let's see. Go back to pending. Search. All right, I already got this one activated. I don't know why I got it. That's under contract. Oh, I'm sorry, that's why. Let me go to maintain partials. Partials, I want to play with partials, not anything else. My listing, search. All right. My office, my listing, search my own stuff. There you go. So this is one of the partials. I'll play with this one. When you're putting in the status, you want to make sure that you put what the status of it going to be. And I hate this system. As you see, you can see active sale, active rental. If it come back on the market like it fell through. Once it's DABO, that means they're accepting the offer. Once it's under contract, meaning it came out of attorney review. You can withdraw it. It's two ways to withdraw, as conditional and unconditional, and if the property fall through. If we was doing an active rental, we would click on the rental, and we'll begin to fill in all the information that's associated with the listing. Again, this would be buy agent, transaction broker, sub agent is always, remember, going to be 0. BATB always have to be the same. In this case, this was an actual rental for a sale, not a listing for a rent. So that's why it's 2.5 minus 275. Lead-based paint for sale signs, internet, short sale. if it is or not. You just want to go through and fill in all the things, all the features. And remember, we went over the property description form. So this is everything being carried over from the property description form, the taxes, if this is a condo, so this is maintenance, the square footage, we got all that from the tax record. On the features, we add all the features in, the remarks, all the remarks, anything about the property can go in the broker remarks. The description about the property goes in the advertising remarks. Just remember to be careful of keywords like walking, who can live there, things like that. Just be careful not to mention in your advertising remarks.
Karen, can I ask a
And then
question?
you would save it.
Karen, for
Go ahead.
rental, when it's rented, you don't have to go from rented to under contract when the lease is signed to then rented. You just change it from active rental to rented once the lease has been signed and checks given, right?
Correct. Now, in the case of the one that I did, let me just save this as a partial then finish. I'm gonna go back to my active ones. Can't go back to active. Listing, maintaining listing, my listing, search. In the case of this one, 769 North Avenue, Friday when I left the office, we had an accepted offer. Thursday or Friday, we had an accepted offer. Seller got me all their documents, waiting for the tenant to get me all their documents. So to protect the other agents from other people showing, I marked it as Dabo because the owner accepted it. However, no lease over the weekend. Come Monday, no lease. So yesterday, I finally got in touch with the agent, and the agent said he can't get in touch with clients. So then I was able to reactivate it as active. So I put it in a double state if I got an accepted offer by both parties, but didn't get anything to stop the showings.
And in this case, was it a verbal offer of willingness to rent the apartment for a
No, I
certain?
had paper. The seller gave me all his documents. I had all the buyer documents, the entity and everything. I was waiting for the signed lease. So
Got it.
instead of going from active to rented, I just put it Dabo. When I didn't get the activity, it was easy for me to reactivate it. If I had put it to rented already, I would have to call the MLS and ask them to reverse it.
And the fact that it's rented, is that depend on whether or not the lease is signed or whether or not the checks have been given?
Once I mark it, the checks have been given.
Got it. So it's not necessarily that you got a lease, it's that you got the lease and the checks.
Correct.
Got it. And then the last question I had was, and I already forgot it, so it'll hit me later.
In fact,
Oh, I remember. If you have a lease that's signed and say you wait 3 days to actually change it to rented on the MLS, will you get a fine? Because my lease needed to change and it's been like, I'm still waiting for them to sign the changes to the lease.
no, because you can always say they had to make a change and it just got re-signed, just got redone, and you can show the Docusign form where it just got signed to fight it.
Got it. But otherwise, it's within 24 hours. If the lease is signed, and you have to
Everything should be
change-
updated within 24 hours, yes.
Got it. Thank you.
I think one of my listings expired before. Oh no, there it is. 40. So I see how I put this is 46 Way is Dabo. All paperwork was accepted. All the interview was conducted.
Mhm.
The landlord is fine and approved it. They signed the lease. So I put it as Dabo. Today they're supposed to drop off the checks. But if they don't drop off the checks today or tomorrow, then guess what? I'll be putting it back as active. Same with this one. I'll follow up with the agent a little later on today, see if they got the lease. If not, I might have to put that one back as active.
Got it. And you really just change it to Dabo to make sure that the buyer's agent doesn't show up and try to show a place that you know has pretty much been rented.
Correct. It's like waste of time. Like, yeah, we gotta accept the application. But if they delay too much, then guess what? I can't hold the seller accountable, because for them waiting too long. I don't want to mess up my seller where they could possibly get it rented for November 1st.
Got it. Thank you.
A question, in addition to that, Karen, you put rental rented when is at the same time as the date of occupation date, occupied, the date it's occupied, correct?
The rented date, so if I could collect these checks for 46 Way today, I would mark the system as today, but the occupancy date I would mark for 11/1. So whenever I collect the checks, that's when it was rented. The occupancy date, the date that will be occupied would be 11/1.
Okay,
By the way, KW, once you've done your work, you can get paid. We're not waiting for 11/1 to pay you. If you bring that check in today and your file is compliant, you would get paid today, even though they're not moving into the 1st. Some agencies will make you wait into the 1st.
Karen, question, if let's say the landlord preference wise would prefer no kids, how would you? Yeah, because they said that.
Oh, I don't want to hear that. We on a live feed. If they say that, that means you must turn that listing down. That's
Oh my
discrimination.
gosh. Okay. What if they said that their mother is living on the floor below it, so they
Can't discriminate. We can't discriminate.
Okay.
And Sonia, in that situation, you call Ramiz and you let him know that you have tenants that, you know, and then I'll.
Y'all better stop playing on this feed. This is recorded.
Oh man. So Karen, in that case, you what do you say? You can't. So,
Unfortunately, I can't discriminate against. And you go back to the Attorney General memorandum.
mhm.
Read them the Attorney General memorandum and say I cannot participate in that kind of listing.
Yeah, you can't
I'm sorry,
discriminate based
I
on
have to
familial
refuse it.
status.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's what familial status means. If you're a family, you have kids, you can't discriminate based on familial status.
Yeah, just use your documents,
Gotcha.
and then you might want to hit them with the truth in renting book. Yeah, it's a protected status. Children are protected status. Let's see. Pet, landlord, permanent disability,
Right there, that third bullet, familial status.
familiar status.
Oh.
Families with children under the age of 18 and pregnant women. Landlords similarly cannot use unreasonable occupancy restrictions to prevent families with children from moving in. So you just use what we have. New Jersey is protecting us as realtors. If you have not read this document, read it. If you have not read the truth in renting, read it. It's some good information in that. You wouldn't have to call me for many things if you go to the truth in renting. Just read. It's out there. Google it if you don't see it right away. It's online somewhere. But yeah, refuse that listing.
Refuse. Okay. Thank you, Karen. But that was so. Let's say they change their mind with that preference, then you can take it, right?
My job as a realtor is I can present you all applications. You as a landlord have to review for credit and income. Those are the only two reasons that we can have an actual client be denied based on their credit and income.
Okay.
And there's some new laws that apply in the state of Pennsylvania and eventually will be here in New York and New Jersey that will talk about the criminal history and the NTN that unfair bias against criminal histories. So right now we only have to deal with credit and history and eviction notice along with criminal records, which will show on your NTN. And so that hits as the law. We don't have to worry about the criminal history part yet.